Let's see what we got. What we got. The three deals that made Jay-Z a billionaire. I sure want to know. 'Cause I know Rockefeller had to be one. Rock Nation and well, Cristal, all the liquor deals and shit he had. But besides that, I want to know
How does a
what else he
kid
was
from one of
into.
Brooklyn's most dangerous housing projects become the world's first hip-hop billionaire? Not through music, through 3 business deals that most people never heard of. This is how Jay-Z really built $2.5 billion. Sean Corey Carter was born on December 4th, 1969 in Brooklyn, New York. He grew up in the Marcy Houses, a public housing project in the Bedford-Stuyvesant neighborhood, one of the roughest areas in Brooklyn at the time. His mother, Gloria, worked 2 jobs just to keep the lights on. His father, Adnis, abandoned the family when Sean was just 11 years old, left without explanation, left 4 children and a wife behind. Jay-Z later described it in an interview with Vanity Fair. "We were living in a tough situation, but my mother managed. She juggled. Sometimes we'd pay the light bill, sometimes we paid the phone, sometimes the gas went off. We weren't starving,
Be
we
like
were
that
eating,
sometimes.
but it was things like you didn't want to be embarrassed when you went to school. You didn't want to have dirty sneakers." At 12 years old, Sean Carter shot his own brother Eric in the shoulder. Eric had
What?
stolen his jewelry to fund a crack addiction.
How come
Jay-Z
we ain't
later
never heard
said,
about
"It was
that?
terrible. I was a boy, a child. I was terrified. I thought my life was over." Eric never pressed charges. He apologized from the hospital bed. But that moment, a 12-year-old boy pulling a trigger in a Brooklyn housing project, tells you everything about the environment that
Yeah,
shaped
that's
one of the
crazy. I
world's
ain't know that
greatest
one. I ain't never heard that one about him. He ever mentioned that in any of his interviews or
business
anything like that?
minds. By his early teens, Jay-Z was selling
Is that
crack
a grill
cocaine
in
on
that
the
boy
streets of
mouth? The
Marcy, not
fuck?
because he wanted to, but because the alternative was poverty. He has spoken about this period honestly in interviews. At 14 or 15, he said, "You're not thinking about the destruction you're causing your community. You're thinking about sneakers, about relief
That
from
grill.
pain, about paying the extra light bill." But even in those years, something else was happening. He was writing constantly. He had no paper half the time, so he memorized his rhymes instead. Teachers at his school remember that he tested at a 12th grade reading level in 6th
That
grade.
ain't why he was doing that. Nigga got that shit from Big. They said Biggie was the first nigga doing that.
He was unusually intelligent, and he knew it. In 1989, he connected with an older rapper named Jazzo, his mentor, and recorded a song called The Originators. It won them an appearance on Yo MTV Raps. That was the moment.
So
He
was
saw
his name Jay-Z already when he came to Jazz? Or did he take Jay-Z from Jazz name and broke it down to fuck nah, I'm Jay-Z. Fuck Jazz, I'm Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying?
what
So,
music could be, what it could do. The name Jay-Z was born, a tribute to Jazzo, a play on his childhood
that was just what I was asking. So it was a tribute to
nickname Jazzy,
oh
and a
boy.
nod to the Jay-Z was. That was the moment. He saw what music could be, what it could do. The name Jay-Z was born, a tribute to Jazzo, a play on his childhood nickname Jazzy, and a nod to the J/Z subway lines near Marcy. The streets gave him his story. Music gave him his exit. Through the early 1990s, Jay-Z spent years trying to get a record deal. He recorded demos, he sent tapes, he performed wherever he could. Every major label turned him down. Nobody wanted to sign a rapper from Brooklyn who was pushing 25, considered old in the rap game
Yeah, I
at the
heard
time.
he got his first big deal or break at 30, huh? Oh, he put the album out at 30 or something
people
like
would
that.
have quit. Jay-Z did something different. In 1995, together with 2 friends, Damon Dash and Kareem Biggs Burke, he co-founded his own record label, Rockefeller Records, named after John D. Rockefeller, a deliberate statement of intent. On June 25th, 1996, Jay-Z released his debut album, Reasonable Doubt, featuring Notorious B.I.G., Mary J. Blige, and DJ Premier. It debuted at number 23 on the Billboard 200.
Which I still don't see was so special. I know it got Can't Knock the Hustle and all those type of songs, but when you listen to them today, they sound very dated. And it's just like, they like, it
It
ain't
didn't
all that.
explode commercially. It sold 43,000 copies in its first
all
week.
right.
But
Yeah, you
critically,
selling
it
much.
was regarded as a masterpiece. A raw, detailed portrait of street life that established Jay-Z as one of the most gifted lyricists of his generation. He couldn't get a deal, so he built his own label. He couldn't get distribution, so he sold CDs out of his car. That refusal to accept rejection would become the defining pattern of his entire career. After Reasonable Doubt, the albums came fast. In My Lifetime Volume 1 in 1997, Volume 2, Hard Knock Life in 1998, his first album to debut at number 1 on the Billboard 200. By 2001, Jay-Z was one of the biggest rappers alive. And that year, he released The Blueprint, widely considered one of the greatest rap albums ever made. The Blueprint was also the
He
beginning
became
of
one of the biggest rappers alive, all off the first album, all off of Reasonable Doubt. and it wasn't that cold.
Hip-hop's most legendary beefs with Nas. The tension had been building
I
since
think that's what did it. The Jay-Z and Nas beef that like put him in a different even though he lost that to me, you know what I'm saying? Because Ether won, but it's still like I don't know. Jay-Z went to winning in business moves after that. So after he lost that battle, that's when he really stepped it up with business, I think.
1996, when Nas failed to show up for a session for Reasonable Doubt. By 2001, it most legendary beefs with Nas. The tension had been building since 1996, when Nas failed to show up for a session for Reasonable Doubt. By 2001, it exploded publicly. Jay-Z dropped Takeover, a devastating diss track produced.
So Jay-Z started it, and Jay-Z was mad that Nas didn't show up to a session for his album, and then put out a diss track, and then Nas responded with the Ether. All right. I really ain't know how it played out. I just remember the Jay-Z, Nas, the Ether, and the one that and Takeover. But I never really knew how it started, what it started
by Kanye West, calling Nas a Takeover, a dev out. By 2001, it exploded publicly. Jay-Z dropped Takeover, a devastating diss track produced by Kanye West, calling Nas a has-been with one good album every 10 years. Nas responded with Ether, one of the most
that's the lane that Drake tried to take with Kendrick, huh? Talking about you only drop a good album every such and such
brutal diss tracks in rap history. Hip-hop took sides. Radio stations played both songs back to back for weeks. The beef lasted years before the two eventually made peace. But even in war, Jay-Z kept building. More albums, more tours, more money. By 2003, he had released 7 albums in 7 years. Each one went platinum. Most debuted at #1. He announced his retirement that year with a concert at Madison Square Garden. Sold out, all proceeds to charity. He was 33 years old, and he was just getting started. In 2004, Jay-Z was named president and CEO of Def Jam Recordings, one of the most powerful positions in the music industry. But here's what most people don't know about that deal. Before he agreed to take the job, he negotiated to get his master recordings back from the label. He also secured a separate deal with EMI to get his publishing rights. Most artists never own their masters. They sign them away at the beginning of their careers and spend decades trying to get them back. Taylor Swift had to re-record her entire catalog. Justin Bieber sold his for $200 million just to survive. Jay-Z got his back as a condition of taking a job that most people would have taken just for the title. During his time as Def Jam president from 2004 to 2007, he helped launch the careers of Kanye West, Rihanna, and Neo, 3 of the most successful artists of their generation, signed and developed under his watch. In 2007, he left Def Jam and signed a groundbreaking $150 million deal with Live Nation, covering concerts, endorsements, and recordings. Then he founded Rock Nation, a full-service entertainment company covering music, sports management, film, and television.
So was it that wasn't stealing from Live Nation? And then you just turned your shit to Rock Nation?
Every move was calculated. Every exit created a new entrance. But Jay-Z wasn't just building a music empire. He was building a business empire. In 1999, he co-founded Rockaware with Damon Dash, a clothing brand that at its peak generated between $350 and $450 million in annual revenue. Rockaware became one of the defining fashion brands of the early 2000s. Hip-hop's relationship with fashion. Jay-Z
we definitely wore Rockaware more than the shoes that he had. The Sean Carter's. Few people might have fucked with him, but everybody was fucking with Rockaware for sure.
He was at the center of it. In March 2007, he sold the rights to Rockaware to Iconic's brand group for $204 million cash. He retained a stake and continued to oversee marketing and product development. $204 million. From a clothing brand he built from scratch. And that was just the beginning. This is the story most people don't fully know, and it might be the smartest business move in entertainment history. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Jay-Z was one of the biggest promoters of Cristal champagne. He name-dropped it in songs.
That's the one I was thinking about, Cristal. I remember that one. So I thought I remember this being like one of the first ventures off.
He popped it in music videos. He made it the unofficial drink of hip-hop. Then, in May 2006, Frederic Rizzo, the managing director of Louis Roederer, the company that makes Cristal, gave an interview to The Economist. When asked about the brand's association with hip-hop culture, he said, and this is a direct
today in 2026, did Jay-Z ever fix his teeth? Like, Jay-Z got veneers or his teeth still look like this?
Quote, "What can we do? We can't forbid people from buying it." Jay-Z read that interview, and he was furious. He immediately announced a full boycott of Cristal. He would never drink it again, never mention it in a song, never serve it at his clubs. But he didn't just stop there. Before boycotting Cristal publicly, Jay-Z had secretly acquired a financial stake in a relatively unknown French champagne brand called Armand de Brignac, known as Ace of Spades for its distinctive metallic gold bottle with a pewter spade logo. In October 2006, just 5 months after the Economist article, he released the music video for his song Show Me What You Got. In the video, a waiter offers him a bottle of Cristal. He waves it away in disgust. A moment later,
I ain't never peeped that back then. I remember he told everybody to stop fucking with the Cristal, but I ain't never peeped that in the video.
Silver briefcase opens, revealing a bottle of Armand de Brignac. The world had no idea he already owned a piece of the company. Over the next decade, he weaponized his cultural influence to make Armand de Brignac the new gold standard of luxury nightlife. By 2014, he quietly bought out the remaining stake, becoming the sole owner. Then, in February 2021, LVMH, the biggest luxury conglomerate in the world, came calling. They bought 50% of Armand de Brignac at a valuation of over $600 million. Jay-Z received approximately $315 million cash, while keeping half the company and gaining LVMH's global distribution network. A racist comment about hip-hop turned into $315 million, plus a brand still worth hundreds of millions. That is not luck, that is genius. But the champagne move wasn't even his biggest spirit's win. In 2012, Jay-Z partnered with Bacardi to launch Douce, a premium cognac brand. Structured as a true 50-50 joint venture, he handled the branding, the cultural credibility, the marketing. Bacardi handled production and global distribution. It was one of the rare celebrity deals where he wasn't just the face, he was an equal owner. Douce quickly became one of the fastest growing premium cognacs in the world. Strong double-digit growth every year, fueled by Jay-Z's relentless promotion and Bacardi's distribution muscle. Then, the relationship between Jay-Z and Bacardi became complicated. By late 2022, the two sides were locked in a bitter legal dispute over what Douce was actually worth. Jay-Z valued his 50% stake.
Jay-Z didn't have a lining back then. I knew you was growing your hair out to do the dread, but you could have still kept getting a lining
At $1.5 billion, implying a Jay-Z. Two sides were locked in a bitter legal dispute over what Douce was actually worth. Jay-Z valued his 50% stake at $1.5 billion, implying a total company value of $3 billion. Bacardi disagreed strongly. The legal battle was intense, but in 2023, they reached a settlement. Bacardi purchased a significant portion of Jay-Z's stake at a $3 billion valuation, handing him approximately $750 million in a single transaction. $750 million. From a cognac brand he co-founded with a $0 investment, just his name and his cultural influence. That is what cultural arbitrage looks like at its highest level. In 2015, Jay-Z acquired a music streaming platform called Tidal for approximately $56 million. The music industry...
See, I don't know why I'm still thinking he on Rock... Well, he's still Rock Nation. I ain't got Rock Nation, and Tidal is the streaming platform. Right?
Called it a bad move. Spotify was dominant. Approximately $56 million. The music industry called it a bad move. Spotify was dominant. Apple Music was launching. What chance did a small artist...
I think it was a bad move, huh? Because don't nobody fuck with Tidal to this day.
...own streaming service have? Jay-Z didn't care about the criticism. He saw something others didn't. A platform that could give artists more control over their music and their data. He brought in Rihanna, Kanye West, Beyonce, Nicki Minaj, Madonna, and other major artists as co-owners. He launched Tidal exclusives. He kept the platform relevant through sheer star power. Then, in March 2021, Jack Dorsey, the co-founder of Twitter, came calling through his company Square, now known as Block Inc. Square acquired 80% of Tidal for $302 million. Jay-Z had bought it for $56 million 6 years earlier, a 5 times return on investment. And he joined Square's board of directors as part of the deal, giving him a seat at the table of one of the biggest fintech companies in the world. The critics who called Tidal a bad move went quiet. In In June 2019, Forbes made an announcement that changed hip-hop history. Jay-Z, Sean Corey Carter from the Marcy Projects in Brooklyn, was officially a billionaire, the first rapper in history to reach that milestone. Forbes described his fortune as sprawling and diverse, built across liquor brands, real estate, art, streaming, music catalog, and his Roc Nation entertainment empire. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors in American history, once said about Jay-Z after meeting him over strawberry malts, "Jay is teaching in a lot bigger classroom than I'll ever teach in. For a young person growing up, he's the guy to learn from." By 2021, after the Armand de Brignac and Tidal deals, his net worth jumped from $1 billion to $1.4 billion in a single year. By 2023, after the Ducey settlement, he crossed $2 billion. Today, Jay-Z's net worth stands at approximately $2.5 billion, making him not just hip-hop's first billionaire, but the wealthiest musician on the planet. Jay-Z's story teaches something that school never will. He grew up in a housing project. His father left when he was 11. He shot his own brother at 12. He sold drugs as a teenager. Every major label rejected him, and he still became the wealthiest musician in the world. Not because he was the most talented rapper, though he is one of the greatest. Not because he worked the hardest, though he did. But because every time a door closed, he built his own door. Every time someone said no, he created a system where he didn't need their yes. Labels wouldn't sign him. He founded Rockefeller. Cristal disrespected hip-hop. He bought a competing brand and made it worth $600 million. Nobody believed in Tidal. He bought it anyway and sold it for 5 times what he paid. The lesson isn't about champagne or cognac or streaming platforms. It's about what you do when you're told no, when the system wasn't built for you, when nobody believes in what you see. Jay-Z's answer was always the same. Build your own system. Own it completely, and never, ever let anyone else control your value. If you found this valuable, subscribe. Every video we break down how the
I fuck with this video tough. It broke it down how I was expecting. But you put him and Beyonce on the same whatchamacallit, them niggas should be like 3.5 B's up or some shit like that. The richest couple in hip hop. Nah, I fuck with it though, man. Much love.
Do it for the boy, just do it for the boy, just do it for the boy, do it, do it.